Ed Bernstein Show. Now, here's Ed.
Hi, welcome to our show. Today we're going to talk about, veterans, politics, and courts.
Absolutely.
Steve Sanson is my guest. How are you, Steve?
Thank you, Ed, for having me. I really appreciate it.
And, I wanted to ask you a little bit about your background.
Sure.
You grew up back east.
Yes.
And you joined the Marines?
I joined the Marines in 85.
In 85.
Yes, sir.
Served for
six years in the Marine Corps, and then I came out the Marine Corps in 91, and right after that I joined the Army because I couldn't handle being a civilian.
But why didn't you join the Marines again?
Well, you know something, when I got back from the Gulf War, my unit was on its way to Somalia, unannounced to me. And when I found out they were going to Somalia, I tried to stop the process to come out of the Marine Corps. And I wanted to serve with my brothers going to Somalia because I just, served with them in the Gulf War.
Right.
And they told me I would have to come out the Marine Corps and then come back in again. And there was a chance that I wouldn't get that same unit, so I decided just to go.
And what did you do in the Marines? What was your job?
I started out as embarkation logistics, and it was a very, very fun job. I was attached to all the units that I was with in the Marine Corps were all combat units. I was attached to all combat units. So anytime there was an operation, I was gone with that unit.
And what about in the Army? What did you do there?
In the Army, I really wanted to stay away from the fighting. I wanted to kind of clear my head and try to become a civilian, so I went into supply. So I did supply warehouse while I was in the Army. Mm-hmm.
And when you look back on those two experiences, Marines, Army, which did you prefer? What do you when you look at the differences? What's your observation?
Well, I love the Marine Corps, and I thought about not leaving many times, and I thought about how my life would have been if I stayed in. I got Marine Corps tattooed on both of my arms. Everything about me is Marine, and I left in 1991, and we're in 2024, and I still act like a Marine. I still present myself as a Marine. Even when I was in the Army for 6 years, they were calling me all kinds of Marine Corps names, Devil Dog, Leatherneck, and they go, Oorah, Semper Fi, and all that. So it's when you join the Marine Corps, it's a lifestyle. I mean, and a lot of people say, well, Marines are brainwashed, and that's to some extent they are. Mm-hmm. The Commandant came out many years ago and said, once a Marine, always a Marine. So you carry a Marine in your heart, in your soul.
It's kind of why it works, right?
That's why it works.
Yeah.
That's why we're able to do what we do, because we believe in the cause, we believe in our country, and we believe in the commanders that's telling us what to do. And that's just how Marines are.
Subsequently, eventually, you left the Army, came to Vegas.
Yes, sir. And
got involved in politics.
Yes, sir.
Right? I mean, is that when you started veterans in politics, or?
No. Ed, you know who got me involved in politics? Aaron Kenny.
Okay.
Aaron Kenny used to be a county commissioner.
And assemblywoman at one time. Before that.
Assemblywoman at one time. And, when you buy your home, I looked at all the empty lots, and I found out what they were going to build in all these empty lots. And I looked at the master plan, and it was all residential homes that they were going to build. Bought my home. A couple years later, they wanted to put a fire station at the end of my cul-de-sac. Now, I have no problems with fire station. I love fire stations. I love police. I think we need jails and all that. But nobody wants these things in their backyard. So when I went to the county commissioner, Aaron Kenny, about this, she lied to me. And I looked at what she said to me. I said, I couldn't believe a politician lied to me. This was in 1998. And ever since then, I just decided to dedicate my life to politics and to unroot the corruption out of politics. And I just don't like people that are supposed to be public servant, that you go to the polls and you vote for, and then they turn around and they lie to you. That is a total mischaracter of justice, in my opinion. So 1998 is when I started politics, and I haven't left politics since.
And eventually you started Veterans in Politics, Nevada?
Veterans
branch of it. It's an international organization, right?
It's international now. Veterans in Politics was started in 1992 by a gentleman named Castle P. Anderson from the Gulf War. I didn't get involved in veterans in politics until 2003, 2004, when I ran for city council. And that's how I got involved in veterans in politics. And in 2005, I became president of Veterans in Politics. And I turned it into Veterans in Politics International because we created a chapter in Ontario, Canada. So we got a chapter out there. We have several chapters throughout the country, but the one that I'm mostly involved in is the one in the state of Nevada.
Right. And as part of that, you interview candidates?
Yes.
You make selections on who you're
Yes.
going to endorse for
Yes.
those candidates. What is that process? I mean, how do you go about doing it?
Well, I don't like backroom deals. I don't like organizations to have people come into a room and started to interview candidates. I believe that if you want to interview candidates for an endorsement, it should be transparent, that the public should be invited to see and to listen. It should be broadcasted. It should be videotaped. And with Veterans in Politics, we put our endorsement interviews live on Facebook so the public could see. And then we ask questions of candidates. I don't sit on the panel, by the way, and I just want to put that out there. I don't sit on the panel for many years now. That's because I'm too close.
The panel being the group that makes
Decision
the endorsement,
for the
decision on
endorsement.
endorsement.
Yeah, I don't sit on the panel because I was told that I was too close to the candidates. Because I do this 24/7 every day of my life. I do this ever since 1998, and the panel makes the decision who they're going to endorse. I don't influence the panel in any way. I don't say who we should endorse or why. Or I just keep my mouth shut and take votes, and that's it. And as anybody could see on all of our endorsement process, I never sat on the panel. You'll see that I'm not there asking questions of candidates. I don't do any of that. I'm behind the scenes when it comes to that.
But we were talking a little bit before the show. Oftentimes, when candidates are running against each other for a particular spot, there may be a veteran running against a non-veteran. But you were telling me that really doesn't influence your decision.
The panel's
Or the
decision.
panel's decision.
The panel's decision. We don't rubber stamp anybody. A lot of unions, they do endorsement interviews, and then you go and show up as a challenger, and then later on they'll tell you that we only endorse the incumbent. Why didn't they tell the challenger that from the very beginning so he wouldn't waste the challenger's time?
Right.
We don't rubber stamp incumbents. We don't rubber stamp you because you have the most money. We don't rubber stamp you because you have the most fame. We don't rubber stamp you because you're a veteran. We don't rubber stamp you because we don't rubber stamp anybody. You come to us, whether you're Jill, Bob, or Doug, off the street trying to make a difference in this world. You come to us and we ask you questions about the job. We ask you questions about your character. We ask you a question about how long you've been here. When did the last time you vote? And we don't even rubber stamp you because of your political preference or because of your political party. It doesn't matter. And if you take a look at a lot of our interview process, we hardly anybody asks what party you belong to, because that doesn't matter. We want to make sure that this person could do the job.
And how do you know, particularly somebody who doesn't have a record, they come in, I mean, look, candidates, yeah, it's easy to say when your first time and running for something, yeah, I support this, I support that, right? You have no record.
Everybody supports everything.
Yeah, exactly. So how do you discern at that point?
Well, it's really easy, Ed. We ask about the job, whether you're running for assembly or whether you're running for U.S. Senate. We ask about the job. Would you believe that some assembly candidates thought that we go to the session here in Las Vegas? They didn't know it was Carson City. Some assembly candidates thought that it was a full-time job. They didn't know that they served 4 months every other year. So there's a lot of things that we go and we ask questions of these candidates to find out where they are. A lot of candidates go into the assembly because that's a welcome wagon into politics.
Kind of a stepping stone.
Stepping stone, but these are the people that make laws for us.
Right.
These are the people that actually make laws. I think it should be more than just a stepping stone. It should be, you should know what laws you want to present. A lot of people, they come and they said, I'm going to run for assembly or I'm going to run for state senate. And we ask, what BDR, what bill draft request are you going to propose? And they have no idea what a BDR is. They don't, it's just, it's crazy for me to understand how these candidates are going to represent us, we the people, and they don't have a concept of what's going on. That's why we put everything live on Facebook, so that the people, the voters, could able to watch and see, listen to the questions, listen to the response, look at the body language of these candidates, look how they dress. Because some of these candidates, they running for these seats and they're not even dressed properly. Some come in a tank top and some shorts. You'd be amazed at how these people dress. And we tell them it's a live interview, videotape, and they're still in their. It's amazing.
Yeah, but look, I mean, that you can't judge that anymore. Look at the governor of Pennsylvania, right? Right? Shorts and a sweatshirt, right?
Absolutely.
I mean,
and you know they had to pass they passed some type of
dress code?
Dress code.
In the Congress.
In Congress.
Yes.
Or it was a Senate or Congress. One of them.
Yeah, well, it was,
it
was D.C., yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
you believe you have to do that, though?
Yeah, well, you know, you bring up a really interesting point because, look, I've been doing this show for 35 years. We've interviewed a lot of candidates.
Absolutely.
And I like to we interview oftentimes judicial candidates, assembly candidates, because they don't really get a whole lot of exposure, right? I mean, when it comes down to it, therein lies, in my opinion, the problem. We have candidates and nobody really knows who they're voting for. Mm-hmm. They see a commercial, it may or may resonate with them. Most commercials are BS in whatever they're saying. I mean, it's a paid positive commercial or a paid negative commercial against somebody else.
That's true.
And voters don't take the time to ascertain the character of a candidate, and by the same token, the candidates don't really have the outlets to even get the messages across. At least, you know, you're trying to do it from your side. We're trying to do it a little bit on our side. You know, and it's very confusing. We were talking earlier about. I don't know if you want to talk about specific races or not, but I'll suggest it. The Republican primary for Senate. I know that Sam Brown is, when I think of Sam Brown, I think of one thing, veteran, right? I mean, that's all I think about. But are your organization endorsing Sam Brown?
No, our organization, well, we don't, if you don't participate in our endorsement process, you're automatically disqualified.
Okay.
You have to participate. And when it comes to Sam Brown, since you brought up Sam Brown has no substance for Nevada. He's not telling you what he's going to do for Nevada or what he's going to do for the nation. All Sam Brown talks about is his accident. And he doesn't even discuss what took place for his accident. He didn't talk about that he violated a general order. That means you can't leave your post without being properly relieved. And he left his post without being properly relieved, went down a street and went over an IED, which is an individual explosive ordnance device. I forget exactly the terminology for it, and got his driver killed. Sam Brown should be prosecuted he should be court-martialed for the death of his driver and destruction of him because he's government property and the destruction of the Humvee that he was in. That's what Sam Brown should be prosecuted for. Instead of rewarding him, giving him captain bars when he was a first lieutenant from the hospital bed at Walter Reed. If I would have done something like that, I would have been in prison right now. I would have been court-martialed. I'd been in federal prison for doing what Sam Brown did. Instead, he got captain bar, and now people are pushing him to become a U.S. Senate. He had two races he lost in Texas running for Congress. He lost a race here for U.S. Senate. And matter of fact, when he was in Texas, he said that he will never leave Texas. He said, it will take the act of God for me to leave Texas. Then why is he here in our state of Nevada? We need Nevadans. We need people that have been here for a long time, people that believe in our state, people that has invested in our state. They send their kids to school. They have a business. They have a home. people that invest in Nevada, those are the people we need. I am just tired of these carpetbaggers, Ed, that come from different states, that come here and try to tell us what to do. You and I have been here a very long time. You know, I've been here, 28 years? You've been here, oh my God.
Almost 50. Yeah.
Almost 50 years. These people from other states coming here and like they know better. No, stay in your state, fix that state, and stop running over here trying to fix us. We could fix us.
So what does veterans in politics look at specifically in order to endorse? I mean, because oftentimes issues may be at odds, even within the veterans organizations, right? I mean, you talk about funding and funding purposes, and you talk about VA hospitals. I mean, you can be really great on VA hospitals and bad on military funding. I don't know. I mean, right? I mean, so how do you balance those?
Well, there's some veterans that run for office that feel that what they did while they had the uniform on is enough. So when they come out to the public sector, they don't do anymore. And then there's some civilians that never served that are so into helping veterans. For example, Shelley Berkeley. Shelley Berkeley appropriated all that money to get the VA hospital built over there in 215 in North Pecos that has served so many veterans, that have saved so many veterans' lives, including myself, and have given so many jobs to so many people. Those are the types of people that we look for. Somebody that really, really believe in the heart and soul of our community, that want to do the best for our community, that want to serve our community without asking for anything in return. Those are the type of people we look for, the ones to serve our community without asking for a handout. And I'm just tired of these self-serving politicians that only look out for themselves or their inner circle, but they don't look out for the betterment of the entire state or the entire community, whatever they're running for.
When you served, you were also injured, right?
I was.
Yeah.
I'm 100% disabled vet.
What happened to you?
Stuff that I don't want to talk about.
Okay. But that was after the Army, or?
No, that was while I was in the Marine Corps.
In the Marine,
yeah.
okay.
And some things that they don't catch up to you until later on.
You get older, everything catches up to you, I'll tell you that. You also got involved with family courts specifically.
Yes, sir.
I mean, the court system in general, but I mean, you kind of focused on family. How did that occur?
Well, you know, over the years, we've endorsed candidates to the family court bench. And we've made many friends throughout the years. And a lot of litigants was coming to us, and a lot of our members were coming to us to say that these judges are not following the Constitution, either state or federal. They're not following their own judicial canons. They're just not following anything. They're just doing what they want to do. So I started to go into the courtroom to watch for myself, and the litigants come back and say, well, it's like night and day. You know, when you're in the court watching, they change their whole way of their temperament. Because it's not working when you're in there, because they're not acting like the way they act if you're not there. Yeah. So I decided to watch videos of court hearings. I decided to read motions. And what I found out, that a lot of judges were violating the U.S. Constitution. They were violating the state constitution. They were violating the judicial canons. So this is how we got involved. And then we started to oust them. We started to expose them. We started to write articles about them. I got a YouTube channel, Veterans in Politics. It has thousands and thousands of videos on there from courtrooms. We had a contract with Court Cam and Court TV. They pulled some of those videos that we had on our YouTube channel, and they brought them to the national forefront. So some more people could see them. When it comes to our judicial candidates, the voting public is not paying attention to those candidates. They really need to pay attention. These are the individuals, these men and women that wear these robes. They impact your life immediately.
More than any other elected official. Because you have one person making a decision about your life, period.
And your whole family life.
Yes.
And they could lock you up. They could take away your livelihood. They could cause you to lose your job. They could cause you to lose your house. They could freeze your property. They could take away your assets, your financial assets. They could do all kinds. They could take your kids, Ed. Mm-hmm. your kids, and people would die for their kids, and they'll take your kids. One judge could say that you're not fit to be a parent anymore, and take your kid and give it to somebody else, or put it in the foster care system, or put it in the CPS system. One judge shouldn't have that power. It should be either a tribunal or it should be a jury. I mean, we do have the right to a jury. Our 7th Amendment say we have the right for a jury trial, correct? Well, how come you don't see no jury benches in family court? Not a one. Not a one. And I'm just tired of that one person feel that they have this much power over people. And that's not how it's supposed to be. You know, when our founding fathers had all these elected seats that they made, they were farmers, they were horseshoe fitters, there were all these people. But they believe in our country. They believe in our community. They believe in helping people. And somehow along that line, we kind of lost touch of that. That's why I'm in this.
Now, some of the things that you have done have really resulted in some changes.
Thank you.
I mean, we have a veterans court in, is that in the Justice Court or?
The Veterans Court is actually in all levels, Muni, Justice, and District.
And in North Las Vegas, Henderson, and Clark County, right?
The entire state, yes.
And the city, yeah. So, so how does that work? I mean, there's a group of people. You were one of, there were other people also that were pushing for it, but you were actively involved.
Well, back in 2008, with Barbara Buckley, and she was the former Speaker of the Assembly, and former family court judge Jennifer Elliott. We all got together and decided to write up this bill for Veterans Court, and testified and lobbied for it, and got it going. And I believe it was Governor Jim Gibbons at the time signed it into law. And immediately when it was signed into law, Northern Nevada implemented Veterans Court into their system. Southern Nevada, not so much. This is back in 2009. So in 2010, people are saying to me, hey, what's going on? Why isn't Veterans Court here in Southern Nevada? So I went to the judges meeting, the district court judges meeting. I went to North Las Vegas, Henderson, Las Vegas, and I met with those municipality judges. And I said, hey, where's the Veterans Court? Why isn't Veterans Court in your courtrooms here? The judges are supposed to ask if you're a veteran. Okay? They're not doing that. They're supposed to ask if you're a veteran.
At what point? When they're sentencing or before sentencing?
No, before sentencing.
During an arraignment?
And it should be on the intake. It should be on the intake form, asking if you're a veteran or not. And at that time, it depends on what the level of crime is, and they're supposed to say, do you want to go to Veterans Court? And the way Veterans Court works, I believe it's an 18-month program, and they have mentors. It's an 18-month program, and it is a hard course. Whether it's a DV or you're going for anger management, you're going for drug or alcohol abuse, it's a hard course. And you have to pass every level of that course. And then after you graduate from that course, your case is supposed to be sealed and your case is supposed to be dismissed. This will give a veteran an opportunity to go get a job. Because if you have a DV or if you have a DUI on your record, not many people are going to want to hire you. So this was help clear their records so they could back into society and get hired and get that decent job. The purpose of Veterans Court is to give you a hand up, not a hand out. Because in the Marine Corps, man, they train you to go to war. And the reason why they train you to go to war because they want to see you come back. So they train you to go to war, fight a war, and come back alive in one piece. And years and years and years of training. And they expect us to come back here in the civilian world and all of a sudden click that light switch on like there's nothing wrong with us after we've seen horrific things that men could do to each other or women could do to each other. And we come back into civilian society and go sell donuts on the street corner or be in a law office or whatever, and everything's supposed to be fine. That is not how it works.
Not at all. And all you have to do is look around the streets of Las Vegas. You look at the homelessness problem.
There's a lot of that.
And look, when you look about what's going on in urban America, I mean, to me, it seems like number one problem seems to be homelessness. And
it's actually mental health. Because mental health is what created the homelessness and the alcohol abuse and drug abuse and all that.
I agree, and that's where I was going with my. When you go underneath, what is the causation? It's mental health, and is there a solution for this? I mean, you can talk about building housing. If somebody's not of the right mental ilk, it serves no purpose.
There is a solution for it. I think that we need to start putting money into mental facilities and reevaluating the way we do. Instead of throwing money at the homeless, we need to figure out what the mental problem is and hire more therapists and hire more counselors and get them out there on the street and bring in those homeless people. There was a homeless guy in Florida years ago. He was homeless and he was living on the street for years. Somebody brought him in and found out that he had thousands of dollars in his bank account. The reason why he had thousands of dollars in his bank account, because somebody brought him to a facility, got him rated, I forget what his disability rating was, right. And the money was going to his account, and he didn't know. He had no
Getting
idea.
VA benefits? Or?
Yeah, he had no idea. He could have bought a house.
Look,
no idea.
Look, this time is just flying by. I had so many other things I wanted
Maybe
to
I could
share
come
with
back.
you. But perhaps, yeah, because I also wanted to talk to you about VA benefits, because I got involved in that area of the law for a little bit time in my life in the past, and it's a mess.
It is a
mess. And it
mess.
takes years and years, and it's a disaster. But another topic.
They deliberately try not to get your VA benefits.
For information, stevesanson.com. Or Veterans in Politics.
Veteransinpolitics.org.
Or Veteransinpolitics.org.
And if anybody wants to reach me right away, they could call my cell, 702-283-8088. And I answer all my phone calls. If I don't, I'll answer at a later time, but it all get answered.
Thank you, Steve.
I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.